Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning, and happy Monday to you. It is great to be back after that holiday weekend. I pray everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. But today, I'm telling you, we have a show for you, a show that's going to give you a lot of information. We're going to have laughter, we're going to have fun, but I'm sure there's someone in your network, in your neighborhood who needs this information. And they won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. Because as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. But while you're sharing the show with them, I'm going to introduce you to our first guest, Mr. Anthony Pierre. Pierre's life was turned upside down when he was suddenly arrested and sent to prison for 6 years. While in prison, he searched deep within himself to understand who he really was. And in the midst of this crisis, found his love for writing that was lost in childhood. Good morning, Anthony. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm excited. Have plenty of rest, maybe too much rest, but I want to learn about you, who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Well, my name is Anthony Pierre. I'm actually a real estate investor. I'm actually a coach and mentor. I own Estate Masters Real Estate Academy, which is an academy where we teach inspired investors how to invest in real estate, but also changing their mindsets and helping them to be able to look at the world from different eyes and from the perspective of not necessarily just trying to get wealth, but actually building generational wealth through getting clarity in terms of how you should invest. And then I'm also an author of Boundless Success, which is a book that's a motivational book that really, tells a little bit about my story and just help people to appreciate the power of when you make the shifts in terms of how you look at your situation and how you look at your life and how that can take you boundlessly into whatever success you want in life.
Oh, wow. And is that what you're passionate about?
And yes, I'm passionate about teaching. That's one of the things that I really love to do. Teaching is something that kind of, I've always wanted to do, but, this has given me a platform to really teach people and help people remove what I like to call the black spots, which is when you actually have these unclear things in your mind. You may not understand a little bit of it, but other parts of it you don't understand. So what I like to do is connect all the dots. So you have clarity, which allows you to get motivated and allows you to be able to act and move, because usually those black spots is what prevents us from being able to really act in a way with confidence.
I love it. And speaking of clarity, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Corby Midline. Reading for almost 50 years, Corby is a full-time intuitive counselor with clients worldwide. She is a certified tarot master, past life specialist, psychic medium, and author who is a featured channel in Robert Schwartz's breakthrough series on karma and pre-birth planning. Good morning, Corby. How are you?
Good morning, my friend. Rocking and rolling here in upstate New York.
Oh, wow. I know it's cold there. It's been cold and rainy here in California, too, about 60, 70 degrees.
But you have needed it. I have friends in Thousand Oaks who have been saying, come on, give us the downpour here.
Yes, we appreciate it. But Corby, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
All right. Well, you've got the usual stuff. But my sentence of passion is cross the bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. When I can take somebody from point A to point B, when they thought they couldn't make it, whack them on their shoulders, say, here are your wings. You don't need a flight plan. Now I'm living my bliss. And I've done it as an actress, an author, an inspirational speaker, a video producer, a writer for a graphic novel series, legal assistant, executive recruiter, very checkered career, until 9/11. When I watched the towers burn, I turned to my husband. I said, I need to do the intuitive work full time. People need to know there are other answers out there. He said, I believe in you, go do it. So for 1 year, I stayed corporate, but did the psychic evenings and weekends. Took the leap in 2002. I now read 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, 1,000 clients a year, and I get to get up every morning. Don't have to get up every morning.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. So if you pick up anything you want to share with us today, please feel free. I am going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, the lovely Miss Kay Suther. Kay has made it her life goal to empower individuals, entrepreneurs, groups, and businesses in order to maximize their potential and expedite their success by assisting in achieving their goals. Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm so excited for this.
I'm excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am based in the UK, and I help business owners, authors, thought leaders go from invisible to visible using the power of podcasting. And what that means is that I help people not only learn how to get booked on podcasts, but also launching their own podcast and understanding how that can build their brand, their authority, and be able to reach a global scale that they wouldn't be able to do, if they were just doing live events locally. When you're doing live events, you only actually able to reach the people that are in the room. In a podcasting world, not only is the episode evergreen, but you're able to reach a global scale, which means, more branding, more authority. People are able to know who you are from all over the world. And so I show people on how to get booked and also launch their own podcast.
Wow. And what are you passionate about?
Oh, I am passionate about, people that have these amazing services and products and getting them out there so they no longer feel, scared of kind of speaking out, telling people what they do, who they are, and they go from being invisible, from being, this rock star that they are, and letting everyone know the awesome products and services that they sell, and getting themselves out there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now we are going to come back to you. I want to go over to Corby for a minute because one of the things that stands out, and I always talk about on the Roundtable Talk Show, is just amazing how there's always some kind of theme. And each of you, I see some kind of theme in how you step out there. But based on what Kay was saying, I was just curious, Corby, was it difficult for you to step out there on faith and actually start your readings as opposed to being this person that almost everyone most likely saw as corporate?
Actually, no, it wasn't, because I've always been the strange one in my family. Everybody was medical. I was a writer and an actress. I could have stood on the dining room table and tap danced and recited Shakespeare and they wouldn't have seen me. So for me, life has been all about, this is who I am, and I would find my own road. And that's what I want my clients to do. Don't try to measure yourself against anyone else. What do you have that's fabulous? Let's make it shine.
Let's make it shine. Is that what you help your clients do, Kay? Shine?
Most definitely. Oh my goodness. We'll be sprinkling, loads of glitter and diamonds all over, making sure they shine as possible. But it's also kind of realizing there's certain elements when it comes to podcasting, this as well, that the biggest thing that people struggle with is they just go on any podcast that they feel that will take them on. Right. And so we need to make sure that when you are looking for a right podcast and when you are trying to reach an audience, that they do actually have the audience that you're trying to target. And so doing a lot of research and doing a background on what the podcast is about and if it's for you and if they have the audience, that is something that a lot of people don't really tend to look at. And so this is everything that they're going to, they'll learn, and different strategies and where to find the right podcast and where the audience are, and really niching down as to where to find the targeted audience.
Very interesting. You brought up one question I didn't ask beforehand. One of the things I typically ask my guests is, have you ever watched or listened to an episode of the Roundtable Talk Show? And many of my guests, I have this conversation before we go live. Many of my guests apologize. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, Sharifah, I've never seen the show. And I'm like, don't apologize to me. But the Roundtable Talk Show is not a typical show. So you have to understand what to expect. So it's more about you not feeling ambushed as opposed to, you hurting my feelings. So I'm gonna go over to Anthony real quick and ask him, have you ever watched an episode of the Roundtable Talk Show?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I have. I think that's important. I mean, for someone to come on anyone's show, I think it's important for you to get a feel for, the show in itself and just the rhythm of the show, because every show is different and you do a lot of different guests and it's very colorful how you do it. So I thought that was really unique, just seeing all the guests, how you interact, how you make sure that everybody gets involved. And so I think that was something that was great that I was able to see, which lets me see how this show is. And I really love how you do it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you actually showed up, so that's wonderful. Now, one of the things that we were talking about is this idea of not being or being invisible, feeling invisible, and actually standing out. How did you go from someone who was in prison, and unless you want to tell us about your story of being wrongfully convicted, you knew there was something that you had done. So how did you go from being this person to someone who wanted to make a change in the world?
Well, I mean, your life, everyone has trials, and tribulations in their lives. I think the biggest thing is how you react to them. And that was something that I learned from going through my experience. And to be honest, to clarify, I was not wrongly convicted or accused. However, I was, potentially, violated rights and things were violated, but I did do something wrong. And I think what helped me was, instead of focusing on the fact that maybe I should have never spent a day in prison simply because of my rights and things that happened, I focused more on me and changing the way that I look at things. Why would I even put myself in this predicament? Had a successful business, had done millions of dollars in real estate, and now I'm trying to help a friend do something, get caught up in a whole nother world that has nothing to do with me, but simply because of my love for passion and helping people. And a lot of it just stems back to your own childhood. A lot of times things come from, our childhood. And for me, this was just a product of how I was raised. I grew up seeing things probably that I shouldn't seen, being around people that I probably shouldn't been around, and you become immune to that. So even when you start having success, when these people reach out and need help, you tend to reach out to help, and you don't realize that sometimes you may be putting yourself in jeopardy and putting yourself in a situation that can actually destroy everything that you have done. And one of the biblical principles that I love to use is that bad association spoil useful habits. So sometimes you can get with the wrong people, put yourself in a situation, and then now they can spoil everything good that you've done simply because you allow yourself to be exposed to it. So I think what helped me was really, just a few different things, changing my mindset, making sure that I looked at myself and been honest with myself and realizing that I had a lot to do with this whole situation and not blame other people. And then most importantly, I think one of the things that really helped me, because I had 4 children when I caught my case, and I really felt like, I had become like this failure, so really for me, I had to really recognize that, this is just a page in the book of my life. This doesn't define me, and what I do going forward is what's going to be most important. So one of the biggest things that helped me, and I think for even your listeners, when you in situations, is that you have to learn how to forgive yourself, because you can't move forward if you keep looking down on yourself and things that you've done. At some point, you got to forgive yourself and move forward to become a better person. And I think that's what I was able to do.
I love it. I love it. Corby, what do you think about what Anthony had to say?
Anthony's absolutely right. I love the fact that he did his homework. He saw the show. I came to you, believe it or not, word of mouth, because a lot of people had said, it's a great show. You would have a great time. And the ideas going back and forth are important. The idea about bad associations, get rid of useful habits. What I call it is aim your telescope. Don't look at the smudgy stuff. Look with clarity about what you seriously want. You spend your time around the same people who've got your energy, who've got your passion, who've got your purpose. That will keep you on target for getting to what you're seeing in that telescope of desire and passion.
That was deep. Kay, I love to hear your thoughts.
Oh my goodness, so much good information going around here. Now, there's something I want to talk about with regards to, confidence. I feel that a lot of people struggle to get past whatever experiences, or things that they've seen that were negative, and it breaks people's confidence down, right? But the biggest thing about confidence is, in order to build on that, you have to be ready to get vulnerable, right? So when people are saying they want to get on podcast, but they don't know if people will listen to them, or, they feel like they don't have a voice. This comes from all the negativity that has been brought on in their past and their experiences. But in order to do that, you've got to be prepared to get yourself vulnerable, get in front of podcasts, get in front of people, whether it's live or whether it's recorded, just go ahead and do it. And that's the only way you're going to build on that, is by getting vulnerable and just taking action and doing it.
I love that. Which brings me back to Corby. How do you, and I'm details escape me. That's one of the downfalls.
All right, hit me.
But what I heard was you do podcasts, or you do your shows and work with your clients all day, every day. I think you gave us 8 hours or 14 hours or something like that.
Wednesday, I take off.
What happens on Wednesdays? Is that the day you play with your kids or something?
No, that's the day I do errands and date day with my husband. So we're good.
Oh, okay. That wasn't even a question. That just intuitively came to me. But how do you work with clients and get them to open up and get them to be vulnerable? Kay called it confidence, but how do you get them to reach in and find what they need to better their lives?
I remind them that I've been there, done it. 3 bouts of breast cancer, 2 divorces, poverty, abuse, you name it. I've been through it. And I am not special. If I can get through it, so can you. And the other thing is, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4? You have dogs. We don't do that here. My whole gig is, here are your opportunities and how to grab them. Here's the tough stuff. Here's how to get through it or around it. Here's your toolbox, rock and roll. And I tell my clients, the 4 most important words that I can give you are, I believe in you. Even more important than I love you. Because you can love someone and not believe in them. But when you believe in them, you absolutely love them. And when clients know that I know they can make these changes, they drop their shielding, they're ready to go, and we work on it together.
So you work with clients over an extended period of time?
I can. If you see me once and you get what you need, that's fabulous. But I've had business clients I've worked with for 10 years.
So what are some of those sessions like? I mean, over 10 years.
Okay. Do not come to me with the same question over and over again, even if it's just once a year, because I'm going to be like a good bartender and I'm going to cut you off. You're wasting your money and my time. But let's say that you came to me and you said, I want to open up a vintage clothing store. I would not be the typical 3 cards, wait until January and fire the second redhead. What? It's a card for you, the energy around the business, the brick and mortar location, how to market it, clients, competition, staff, finances, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. I teach my clients, always ask the empowering questions, because my job is to put a rocket pack on your back, not, oh, your business is going to be terrible and you're going to live in a box under a bridge. So don't ask me, is it going to be successful? Always say, how do I make it take off? The more my clients understand how to ask the right questions, the more they can empower their own life.
I like that, because usually I think people go and get one reading, they're done. They want to know this about their business, like you said, about one person, and then they're kind of done. So it's kind of interesting. But I think, Anthony, you learned to ask some of those empowering questions to get yourself. You had to believe in yourself in order for you to get where you are today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody are asking themselves questions every day, because life goes in these stages and no one is just at the stage where they want to be. So you have to always kind of recalibrate and ask yourself where you are. And one of the things that I understand, at every stage of your life, usually when you're trying to get somewhere, usually the people that help you get to this stage is probably not going to be the same people that's going to help you get to that next stage. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And I think when they hit a roadblock, they start to look at their life, they start to think that they are failure, but they don't understand that, especially with business, it's all about contacts. It's all about people. It's all about relationships. And I think Kay, said it best. It's also about confidence, but how do you build confidence? Well, I think that it's a correlation of all these different things. It's first and foremost, you got to be real with yourself. You also got to also make sure you create the type of environment that's going to attract people. So that really starts with, who you are, your brand, what you're trying to do. And I think I love some of the things that Cora brought out in terms of, making sure that you look at every aspect of it, from, you personally, from your finances to your goals, where you're trying to go. These things are so important. And I think, but it starts with actually action and getting going. And it's not some, specific way to get started. Getting started means, hey, get started, start by, first and foremost, writing down your goal, and then start that goal. If it's a 3-month goal, 6-month goal, put those things down and start working towards them. And then also, I think what's important, and I think what all of us bring, is that you can't do all these things, yourself. You can kind of go through that process, but you definitely need some type of coaching, some type of mentoring, because that's the quickest way to cut that learning curve and be able to allow you to be able to thrive and be able to get you where you're trying to go a lot quicker. And I think what the biggest mistake that I see, especially with some of my students that comes in, is that they were trying to go at it themselves, and they think that they can do everything themselves, and you really can't. And I think that's something that I'm sure all of us on here can agree, is that, our successes have come because we realized that we couldn't do it ourselves, and we really needed to get help.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I was doing a podcast interview last week, and after the podcast ended, the gentleman said to me, I'll send you the link for your podcast in a few weeks. And I said, oh, okay, thank you. I said, I want to compliment you on your emails, because I receive your emails and it lets me know about the upcoming guest. And he was like, I have to be honest with you. I don't do all that myself. That's not me. And the expression that he said, the way he came across, was really apologetic. And I said, you know what? That's great that you have a team. Just looking at the emails, I could tell you didn't do it all yourself. But I think there's been a shift in attitudes, especially in this whole entrepreneurial world, where entrepreneurs used to take great pride in, you know what? I do everything myself. Nobody helps me. It's just all me. I work 24 hours, 7 days a week, and there's no one else. But now there's been a shift of, you know what? I do need help. I need a team. I need other people to make this happen. That's my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts, Kay.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm all about, if you need help, then go get it. Build a team. That's how you build a business. I have a team of people that help me with my business, with my podcast. And honestly, I would not be able to do it without them. Right? There's no way, there's no one in the world that has built $1 million business doing it all themselves. It just can't be done. And so you do get to a point where you have to start, investing in yourself, in your business, and start hiring people in your team to help you out in order to scale. And it's all about, making sure that you do actually recruit the right people that have the same vision, that have the same mission as you as well. Because you probably know this, everyone here knows this, hiring the right people, finding the right people is a journey in itself as well, right? And so making sure that you're very clear as to the types of people that you want to bring onto your business, to your team, and making sure they have the right attitude, and that there's synergy, you're able to work together, is highly important as well, which is part of business and scaling. And so reaching out for people, reaching out to get the help. And also, when people are hiring, reaching out to your community, to your network, to finding out, is there anyone else in your network that has hired someone to do something and then, didn't need them after a while, and see if there's anyone out there that's free. A lot of people go to agencies and get people to fill out, forms, application forms, and, do an interview, which is great, which is awesome. But if you need someone fast and you need to know that someone is capable, the best way to start recruiting is reaching out to your network to find out if anyone's available, and also getting feedback from your network to find out whether they were good at what they were doing. And so, most definitely build a team, get a load of people to help you out, and scale it.
I love it. Words to live by. Corby, do you do everything yourself?
No. I'm agreeing with what everyone else is saying. Look, when you're starting out as an entrepreneur and you try to do everything yourself, you are going to burn out. You're going to become a crispy critter. You've got to spend your time with what you love. Me, words are my drug of choice. I can write, I can speak, I adore doing podcasts. Do not ask me to do anything graphic because I can't draw a stick figure with a sharp pencil and a lot
I
of
say
prayer.
it all the time. The same thing. I say I cannot draw
right.
a hangman.
Right. So while it may be spending a little extra money in the long run, this is what is going to help you make your business a marathon, not a sprint. Find the people who get your vision and who do that and love that. That way, your time is spent doing what will make you incandescent in the world. Okay, get a virtual assistant, get a web designer, do that, and then put your product out there with the best energy you can. That's wise use of time and resources.
Absolutely. And get a great graphic designer. I have a great graphic designer who's been with me for years. And the beauty of it is not just his graphic ability, because, you know, some people can draw a great graphic. Okay, you made a nice picture, but I'm a visionary. You know, I can't, like I said, I can't draw a hangman, a stick man, but I have these ideas and these visions of what I want to create. And he has the ability to translate my vision into something that is tangible. And I'm like, okay, I like that. And then sometimes we tweak it a little bit, but he can actually work with my vision. Now, I remember back in the days when I used to go to interviews and they would always ask you, maybe it was just me, maybe it was not y'all, but they would ask me, like, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And I always say my biggest weakness is delegating. You know, it's hard for me to delegate because I'm a recovering perfectionist. You know, even with my kids, when they would say, Mom, I cleaned my room. And I would always say, did you clean it to your standards? Or did you clean it to my standards? And then they go back and then they clean it to my standards, which were never to my standards, but they were a little bit above their standards. So, Corby, are you someone who has dealt with that as well, getting people on board on your team who, you know, are working the way you want them to work?
Yeah, look, as you can tell, I'm a type A and been there, done that, sold the franchise. And so I don't take mediocrity. The way I explain it to people I hire is I say, look, I am like a thoroughbred horse. I may be high-tempered and I may want what I want when I want it. But if you keep me fed, watered, and walked, I will bring home the bacon and the rewards. Ooh, and they get it. And I will reward them as much as I can. Simple example. When I do trade shows, I always have a front person. Well, they don't just get per diem, what I call danger pay. But if I hit a certain level and then exceed it, they're going to get commission on that, which not a lot of people in my profession do. But I want them to know they are valued. And if they know there's a commission on the other side, they will work harder.
I don't even know what a front man is. What is a front man? What do they do?
If you go to all of these trade shows, all right, you have one person who talks to you and hands you the information, et cetera, while someone like me is in the back having an appointment with his clients.
Okay.
So they're okay. And normal, everyday trade shows may do the same thing. It is important that you not only pay your assistants well, but you pay them in the intangibles. You thank them for their work. You tell them it's a good job when it is. You understand that they are doing the best they can. And part of your job is to help them get even better.
Mm-hmm. I'm like that, but then I'm maturing. I used to be a lot more fiery. I'm an Aries. I'm a fire sign than I as a younger me. But I always tell people I love to pay people way above whatever the average salary is. Part of the reason is because I love to reward people, but then I also know that my personality, not everyone can take it. And some people be like, I don't have to take this. I'm going to quit. And then they look at their bank account and they're like, wait a minute. I know Sharifah, you know what I mean? Let me work with her a little bit. Let me work with her. Such an interesting conversation. We are going to continue after this brief commercial break.
You need jordansrooter.com. Get free estimates, 24-hour service, special discounts for seniors and veterans. That's jordansrooter.com. Have a home repair or some remodeling you need done? No problem. We can handle all that too. Give us a call today at 800-300-0358. At Jordan's Rooter, we take pride in our work and always make sure to get the job done right the first time. That's jordansrooter.com. We want to be your Mr. Fix-It.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
A good business consultant.
And I kept searching and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes. Thank you.
If you are looking for one as well, look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
Thank you.
If you are just now tuning in to the Roundtable Talk Show, if you have missed any part of this show, you definitely want to catch it from the top of the show in the archives, because we have been given a lot of information, a lot of tips, and what I like to call gold prior to the break. Now, I wanted to go over to Kay because I was speaking to Corby. We were talking about this whole idea of people working for, and I just saw you smiling. So I know you understand what we were saying, Kay.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about regards to recruiting people and hiring. Is that
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
mean? I mean, communication is definitely key when it comes to, building a team and making sure that everyone is on the right path. And oh my goodness, it's just I like hiring people through referrals, right? Through my network, because I don't have time to go through loads of application forms and do interviews and do calls to find that right person. And then you never know what that person, what their work is really like. And then, they do it for a little while and then they're not actually showing up the way you want them to show up. And then you got to go through that whole journey again, right? And so I love recruiting people through my network, finding out who they've worked with, how well they've, how well they've done in their positions, because time is of the essence. And so when I need things to get done, I need them to get done now. And do you know what? One of the things that I struggle with is patience. I don't have patience. I'm trying to work on that, right? And so when I need X, Y, and Z done, I needed X, Y, and Z done like last week, right? And so let's just get this done and let's just make it work. And rewarding people, oh my goodness, yeah, that is the number one thing that you need to do to build a happy team, is to reward people when they've done something outstanding, when they've gone that extra mile. Always reward them. One of the things that I love to do, especially when I'm hiring new people, find out, what do they want? What are their needs? What are their goals? How can I help them to reach these particular goals that they have, and taking a real interest in their growth and then helping them to put things into steps to actually achieving them. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of businesses out there, they miss out on, is taking a real interest in individuals on their team. But the minute you make that shift and you start doing that, that's when your team is totally going to be showing up. And at that point, if they don't, then well, maybe they're not quite right for your team and you need to be looking elsewhere.
Absolutely. I haven't been the most patient person either, Kay, but I have a little formula. This is my mathematical formula. It may not work for everybody, but this is how I can get it done. I tell myself, if I can do it in 2 hours, I'll give someone 8 hours. And if they haven't done it in 12 hours, I've replaced them in 10. So, it's going to get done one way or another. Somebody is going to fill that seat. How about you, Anthony? What's your philosophy?
Well, for me, I think because I'm in real estate and I'm in the business of managing people. I own several businesses. I own a construction company, an investment firm, a consulting firm. So you got all these different things that's going on, estate masters, the academy. So you got all these different aspects. So what I've learned over the years is that I like to create relationships. I think people are passing through stages, and I'm okay with that. So I kind of agree with Kay, is that, establishing a relationship with them and getting to know what their real overall goals, not just a pit stop because you want a job and you want to make some money, but also maybe partnering with me in a sense in terms of what my vision is, and then maybe I can help you actually realize your vision, and that allows people to buy in. I think that's why people who invest in companies getting stocks and shares and stuff like that has always been effective, because people start to feel like that business is their business, and now they go even harder to try to make things happen. And then I think also rewarding is so important, but more importantly than that, I think what happens is when you're dealing with people, if it's just a money transaction, then there is no relationship really there, and all they're looking at is the check, and all they're looking at is the job. I don't want them to just look at the check and look at the job. I want them to look at the full picture of where we're going, and I want their input, and I want them to feel like they're a part of it. And when we're growing and when we're having success, we're all celebrating together, not where you just over here doing you and you just get a check every week. I don't even want to hire anybody that's like that. I want people that have their own hopes, their own dreams, where they want to go, why they're even interested in even working, why are you even in real estate. And it's so funny because I have one of my she's been with me. She's a partner now, but she's been with me forever. And, and this was the conversation I had with her many years ago. And it's just so funny. It's like now everything that she wants to do, it's like, well, let's partner. Great, because we understand that we need other people. And it's great when you got brilliant talent coming up to you that now you can branch off, and instead of them just going off and leaving, now they may introduce you to other worlds, other partners, and you may be able to see them in other ways. And I think that is so powerful in terms of organically growing your business and also creating other opportunities, and then also really encouraging people and allow them to be able to let their wings and fly. And sometimes you got to let them go. But if you actually had a lot to do with their success in terms of them being able to be confident, being able to be around the right people, being able to get the tools that they need in order to be successful, and that in itself is just worth it, in our relationships, especially when you're dealing with employees.
Absolutely. Now, for me, I was laid off 8 times. And so being laid off 8 times, yes, literally 8 times, it became a challenge to find employment, for lack of a better word. Plus, there was a certain aspect of me where I just said, you know what, I don't want to work for anyone else anymore anyway. I just want to do my own thing. Now, Anthony, you mentioned at the beginning of the show your history and your background. Was there a difficulty for you finding work and you made the decision, you know what, I don't want to work for anyone else, I'll just do my own thing? Or did you always have that entrepreneur spirit?
The funny thing is, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but while I was locked up in prison, I ended up creating like one of the most successful real estate investment programs for inmates. And it was out of really one of my bunkie just wanting to learn. And we put this program together, and eventually it just blew into this thing. And I ended up partnering up with Urbana University, and it became a successful program. And, we have hundreds and hundreds of students went out and started doing things. And even while I was still locked up. So 2015, I get out and I'm sitting, I tell my cousin, I says, hey, I want to go and I need to go see my parole officer. So we go see my parole officer. I'm sitting there, and she says, Anthony, you didn't really get in trouble. You're very low risk. She says, so what do you want to do with your life? Now, the funny thing is that when I was teaching them in prison, I put together this 24-month rule, all these rules and what they need to do step by step, and how when they get out, they do all these things. But at this moment, I really had no clue what I was going to do in my own life. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I just got my Water 1 license in jail. I got this. And then I said, hey, but you know what? I really would love to open back up my real estate investment company. And, she stopped and she says, you know what? You're like the 10th person that has come in here talking about that they want to invest in real estate, and they come in here with this plan, and they got all this stuff going on. And she's like, and they're very thorough in what they want to do. And they're talking about they got 24 months. And she was like, and it said somebody was teaching them in prison how to invest in real estate and all this. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, I think that was my program. And, you know, and she was like, oh, wow, that was an amazing program. These guys are doing amazing. All these guys are out here doing their thing. And I felt funny because I didn't even have a plan, but I taught all of them how to have a plan. So just to answer your question, when I got out, I really didn't have no plan. But when I heard her say that and then seeing how inspirational that was, not only to her to see that these guys was prepared, it kind of gave me a sign in terms of what I need to really be doing in my life. So from that point on, I knew that I had to really open my company back up. But I wasn't really I had a company that didn't hire me when I asked, and when I applied for one place and I thought I had the job and they didn't hire me. So at that moment, I just said, you know what, let me just open up my company. And thankfully I ended up getting my first consultant job, and I've been off to the runnings ever since.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That's why I always say all things work together for the good. Kay, you've been commenting. I see you over there.
Yeah, because I'm like agreeing with everything Anthony's saying, and oh my goodness, I'm like, you know what? You don't need to have a plan. You don't. I don't believe that you need to have a plan, right? Life happens for you, not to you. That's what I believe. And so all my life, I mean, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. All I knew is I wanted to be rich, right? How I was going to get there, how it was going to happen, no clue. But I was someone that got bored very easily, right? So I went from one job to another job because I was like, okay, I know how to do that. Now what? Okay, learn how to do that. Now what? What's next? And each one was like completely different to the other. Like I was a police officer. I was an MMA fighter. I was a hairdresser. I was an interpreter for deaf children. I worked in a college. Like everything was completely different to each other. And so I remember I got to a point where life kept throwing so many things at me. The amount of times I ended up in hospital, right? Because I guess it was telling me, right, you've learned what you had to learn now. Now it's time for you to go on to the next chapter, right? At the time, you never realized what the hell is going on with you. What's going on? Why is my life not working out the way I planned it? Because I don't believe that you can't really plan how things are going to happen. Life is going to throw things at you, and it's up to you to kind of work out how you're going to handle that. And are you going to take it as a negative, or are you going to take it as a life lesson and move on? And so the business that I've built today was not the plan, right? At all. But it ended up working out. And people asking me, how are you getting on podcasts? How have you built your own? Like, how are you doing all these things? How are you traveling around the world, before the pandemic happened? And going from a 9-to-5 job to then learning about entrepreneur and about business, it was just something that happened to me. And everyone says that, things don't happen by accident, although I keep saying it happened by accident. But life happens for you, and you got to be able to embrace it, and just kind of take it on board and just go with it, because there is a plan out there for you. We just don't know what the plan is, and it's up to you to embrace it and just kind of take it with both hands and go with it and learn what you have to learn, because then things will then, transpire. Things will then just happen, and just things will be laid out for you. So this is where you need to be, and you're going to know when you're in that place, because things just kind of fall into place. Does that make sense?
Beautiful.
I'm about to throw up a hallelujah, an amen, all of that. I'm like, yes, Kay, yes, preach, girl. I know, I definitely can tell you. There's a joke that I love. It says, "How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans." Right?
Right.
I'm about to do this, and God's like, you think so? Okay, no. And I had the same experience, not necessarily as drastic. I love the diversity of what you were doing, but in being laid off, I had so many different jobs. I was like, oh, no one's going to hire me. They're going to consider me a job hopper. And then I went to one interview, and the gentleman read my resume, and he was like, wow, you have the resume of an engineer. He was like, you have so many different skill sets and so many different talents, because I can network your computer. I can write your press release. So many different things that I have the ability to do. But that is a result of all those things that I didn't plan. And so when we're talking about plans, of course, we have to go over to Corby. Corby, what are your thoughts?
Well, you got to remember also, I think I'm a lot older than y'all. I'm going to be 67 in March. So
wow, you
I'm
look
coming.
beautiful.
Yeah,
You're gonna tell us
Darling,
your
two magic
secret. Oh
words.
my goodness.
No children takes 10 years off your looks right there.
there
But
you
Oh, okay. March
only
what? March what, Corby?
March 8th.
Oh, okay, I'm the 31st. I just wanted to know. Anyway, go ahead, Corby. What do you preach to us,
Okay.
Corby?
I'm going to roll it back to when I said sentence of passion, because I think I agree with Kay, kind of, sort of. Your sentence of passion is not who you are or what you do or even how you do it. It is your vapor trail. When you go skidding into heaven on bald tires and fumes in the tank, and God hands you a cup of coffee and says, so, you get to say, I did this. Isn't it cool? Now, with the kind of crazy roller coaster, no brakes experience that I've had, that Kay's had, it's not that we didn't have a plan. It was that we were finding out what we were here to leave behind. And we did it through all of these pieces. Now, at this point, I consider myself an elder. And my job for the people who work for me, because you work for me, you are interested in metaphysics and spirituality, you just are, is to be a mentor, not a guru. And this is so important. What's the difference? A mentor pushes you a little farther than you think you can go, kicks you out of the nest a little bit before you think you're ready, and is in the audience applauding you when you get an award for being better at what they did than they are. Example, Meryl Streep with her Oscar thanking her drama teachers at Yale. You don't want to be a guru. Oh my God, I do things so wonderfully. You'll never be anything like me, but I'll help you, kind of, sort of. That's a kind of boss that you will have high turnover, because it's very clear that you're only there to suck out of them what they can do for you. A mentor, you will have people forever, because they are getting from you what they need to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. End of soapbox.
Wow.
Well, I've never had somebody in the soapbox like that, because where does all these expressions come from, Corby? That's what I want to know. I had to write that one down. If I heard you correctly, skiing into heaven on bald tires.
Skidding into heaven on bald tires and fumes in the tank, because you have had such a life. Look, you got to remember, what did I say? Words are my drug of choice. And theater major. And I have done stand-up comedy on You Think a Psychic's Life is Easy. So this just rolls for me. It's one of my strengths.
It's
don't put me, I would die by inches if you put me in a job where I had no personal contact and I was just inputting all day. Roll over and die. You put me in front of people, man, I just take off. So, and that's the other thing. What do you love? What are you good at? Put yourself where you will want to go to work, not it's just a paycheck, exactly like Anthony said.
Yes. Wow. I love it. I can see the stand-up comic, all of that. Anthony, have you ever heard skidding into heaven on bald tires?
You know what? I've never heard that expression. I'm gonna have to make sure I add that to my arsenal. So hey, don't
feel free
if you hear it on a podcast, Corby. But no, I thought that was amazing. I think that the way that she explained it was just beautiful. I mean, that's really, what it's all about, man. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know. At that point, I was dealing with a crisis. I did 6 years in prison, and during that time I had to find myself. And one of the things that I did is I started, building myself up spiritually. I became, an ordained minister. So for all that time, I was doing a lot of preaching and teaching and on the spiritual, because I was actually laying the foundation of what I felt like I needed in order to be a better person, in order for me to see people, because I did amazing things in real estate before I caught this case. And, and I might have thought a little bit too highly of myself. So this humbled me and had me to really strip myself down naked and really look at it and realize, like, you're not, that important in the big scheme of things. But more importantly, you do, have a lot to offer. So, but you can't offer anything to anybody if, like she said, if you just want to be this great person, and you're not offering really anything, because really it's all about you. So what helped me is that once I stripped myself down and really started giving myself to help other people, I ended up starting to see people. So when I was on this yard with all these criminals, so to speak, the veil was lifted from my eyes, and I actually started to see people, and I started to see fathers, and started to see their needs and their wants and what they wanted. And it made me more compassionate, and also really have pity, because I realized that, you know, some of the problems that really are going on. So therefore I decided to step in and says, okay, you let me solve this. And that's really where that program came from, because I realized that a lot of these guys are nonviolent. They're in here just trying to make a living and make money, you know. So how about if I taught them, you know what I'm saying, a system in terms of what they can do and get out, you know, right away, and never have to sell drugs again. You know, now other things, some of these people are in there because they got chemical imbalances or illnesses or drug addictions, which I don't think that a prison is where they should be, but that's where they send them. And I think that creates a whole nother issue and problem. I just think that a lot of with our society, things are just disproportionated, and people are where they not really should be. But I realized that while I was there, because I really realized that there was a lot of great people in there that was just looking for, you know, answers, and then people to really give them guidance. So I kind of just fell into that role. But before, I was kind of really a selfish person, and I had to really realize how selfish I really was. I mean, look, put my kids in this predicament. I had 4 beautiful children. When I left, my daughter was 2, my sons was 10 and 8, and then my oldest daughter was 16. So we do things sometimes in our lives, and sometimes you have to go back and really realize, okay, you know, why would you even do anything? What was your heart condition to make you even think that something like that was even right? And that's what I was able to do, which helped me so much and allowed me to be able to be about giving. Because as the Bible principle says, there's more giving, there's more happiness in giving than receiving. And that is so true, especially when you're in the business of coaching, mentoring. It's never about us. And we'll never get paid what we really probably deserve in terms of what we're able to do, because our whole lives is about transformation. It's not about, we want to transform you into this person. You know, Kay says, you know, taking you and, you know, you become this beautiful thing. That's really what it's all about, because it's already there. It's just, you need somebody to see you. And that's what I try to do. I try to see you and then try to help you see you. And then we create this thing. And then, like she said, we let you go. Sometimes we have to put you out there, because you can't be what you want to be until you get on that stage. And sometimes you got to get out there and you got to make some errors and some mistakes. You can't be perfect, because no one is. And that's something that I've learned. And I love that idea that she kind of put out there in that expression.
Oh, wonderful. So I guess we're going to have to go over to Kay. Kay, do you have any of your clients who use the expression skidding into heaven on bald tires?
Nope, not one of them. I've never even heard of it myself, right?
You need a client like that. We're going to have to get Corby on some more podcasts.
Right.
Right. But I mean, going back to what Anthony said, and, you know, being prepared to make mistakes. Right, you have to make mistakes. You have to fail, make decisions. If they don't work out, they don't work out. Oh my God, I made a decision to move to Costa Rica back in 2007. It was the best move that I thought I ever made. Right, my accommodation was being paid for, my flight being paid for, my food and drink was being paid for. Plus, I've been paid for my services. I'm like, it can't get any better than this. And then what happened? The company went bust, and I became homeless overnight. Click of a finger, no food, no accommodation. Had no money because I didn't get paid because the company got bust. And now I'm in this foreign country, don't speak the language, with nothing. How the hell are you going to get out of that now? And the only thing that I could think of, and I remember this time when I was in the event room. We had events in Costa Rica. That's what they flew me out for, to do sales, because I used to do back of room sales. And I just sat there laughing when I realized what happened. I was like, okay, all of a sudden I've become homeless with a click of a finger, don't have no food, no water, none of the basic essentials that you need to live. And I could not stop laughing. And my co-workers came over to me and they said to me, do you realize what's just happened? Like, why the hell are you laughing? And I'm like, I'm laughing because this is amazing. I was like, it's so freaking ridiculous what's happened to us. But I go, do you realize when you think about, you know, the Tony Robbins of the world, the Les Browns of the world, all of them were homeless at one point, which means I'm going to be a complete millionaire at some point, because you have to be homeless to be a millionaire, right? And so biggest thing that I learned was that perspective is everything. Is how you take on any challenges, anything that happens to you, good or bad. and then making it work for you. And so because I was, in this kind of thought of I'm on the right path because I'm now freaking homeless, I was now able to think outside the box, get creative, and figure a way out of this situation. And what I did was I went to the resort manager at the time and said to her, look, you've still got staff to pay. You've got bills to pay. You've got no income coming in now because this company's been bust. But this resort is still running. Let me help you bring clients in. And in return, I need shelter, I need food, and I need water. Right. And I did this for about 2 months. And then I realized I could go to these other businesses, these other hotels, these other restaurants that are all on the coast and do the same thing this way. This time, ask them for a little bit of money so I can figure out on raising money and getting back home. But if you don't have that perspective and you're in that negative emotion all the time and you're thinking about, oh, I'm always failing and it's never working out. And, you're constantly going through these circles and it's not working out, then you're never going to be successful. Right? Part of being successful is having as many failures as possible and making sure these failures are huge. Because I guarantee you, I'm never going to be homeless again. I'll make sure of it. That's never going to happen. It's happened to me once. It will never happen again. And that's how every single person, the bigger the failures are, you're never going to make the same mistakes again. You're going to learn from it. So make sure you make as many mistakes and big mistakes as often as you can, because you will learn from it and get better.
I'm coming to your church on Sunday, Kay. I'm coming to your church. I'm going to get the life according to Kay, because that's some good stuff right there. But you are absolutely correct. I was homeless. I lost everything. Not doing that again. Learn that lesson. Don't have to learn it again. But they also say that more millionaires are created during the Depression than any other time. Because when we're comfortable, we don't look for other things to do. It's when we're forced. Exactly what you said about creativity. This, oh my God, has been an amazing show. We are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Miss Corby.
All right. And I'm going to go right off Kay and say the secret to life. You have to live the examined life. Here's what's happening. Okay. You don't panic. You don't complain. You don't whine. This is what's happening. What do I need to learn from it? With me, it's also can you teach with it and then go next? Because that's the secret. Everything in life is useful if you know how to use it.
Absolutely. So where can people find more information about you?
Oh, they can't avoid me. Are you kidding? Number one, website is CorbyMitleid.com. Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter is all Corby Mitleid. Facebook is Fire Through Spirit. And if you want to work with me on a regular basis, you can find me on Patreon.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to go follow you on social media, because I'm guaranteed you're going to say some stuff. I'm like, what did she just say? Nobody says that. Only Corby says that stuff. It was definitely a pleasure. I had to follow
Don't can use anything I said today. It is not copyrighted. Go play.
Love it. Love it. Kay, what do you have for the people?
Guys, if you have a story, right, and you have failed and you have come above it, and you've got a business, you've got something that you believe in, you want to bring awareness to something, you're an author, make sure you go to being visible to the whole world globally. You need to get yourselves on podcasts. Build yourself your own podcast. If you need help with how to do that, then contact me. Come to my website. You'll find a lot more information on there. It's makeyourmarkagency.com. Book a call with me. We can have a free strategy call on what your missions, your goals are, and how we can work together to make sure we get your story out, your vision, your mission, and make sure it targets everybody all over the world, all over the globe. So make sure you get in contact with me as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're doing your story, you can say, and we can get you on the Roundtable Talk Show. That's a little plug, shameless self-promotion for me. Thank you, Kay. Anthony, what do you have for the people?
I think one of the number one things that I think I want your audience to understand is that you have to learn how to adjust your mindset, to meet the challenges that you might deal with in your life. And one of the ways to really do that is like 5 things that I like to always share that I think will be helpful. Is the first thing, and I talked about it earlier, was you have to be honest with yourself. You really have to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Honesty is everything, because it kind of, first and foremost, it does what I like to call uproot the problem. So definitely be honest with yourself. And then again, I think you have to forgive yourself. We have things and trials and tribulations that we've all dealt with in life that puts us in these positions. But in the reality, at some point in time, in order for you to move forward, you have to forgive yourself. And I think that really, I like to call that part just releasing the problem. It's like taking a big weight and just throwing it off your back. And then now you're free and you're able to move forward. And then that third one is just adjusting your mindset. Adjusting your mindset really is nothing more than what I like to call reverse psychology. Kay put it best. She sat there and she laughed in a situation that was probably the most tragic and most stressful moments in her life. But her laughing released, a different perspective and allowed her to go into a mode that allowed her to not only shine, but prosper. And as we see her today doing what she's doing. So reverse psychology, trick yourself is really all it is. And then, remember to identify, what your real purpose is. I think that's, and I like to call that soul searching. You don't have to be perfect, but you need to have something that you're passionate about. And if you do that, I think you'll be on your way. And then lastly, take hold of that purpose, and I think that's when you'll have clarity. You'll be able to go where you want to go in your life. And that's something that I try to do and help at Estate Masters Real Estate Academy for those who's looking to build generational wealth, those who are looking to change their mindset and really be able to create the type of life that they deserve. And if you guys need to get in contact with me, of course, you can feel free to go to Anthony-Pierre.com if you want to schedule a free 45-minute coaching call. We can get on there and look at your life, and we can lay it out and put together a plan of action that will allow you to be the you or the real you and who you should be.
Yes, this has been an incredible show, especially for a Monday. I'm so glad I enjoyed it. Now, I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. But I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who was watching it in the archives. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sharing. But the most important thing to me, as always, is that you support our guests. Our guests are here this morning to share with you, share their stories, their experience, share their laughter, share their expressions with you. So please support them. Their website link is in the Facebook post. Follow them on social media. Reach out to them. Send them a message. And when you do, please let them know Sharifah Hardie says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.